I'm not even sure I should start this video. Ooh, I've been promising this video for a very long time. A lot of people are excited for it. I'm excited for it. As a model and photographer myself, I feel like I've experienced a lot of frustrations on both sides. So I get to finally talk about my perspective on both of those sides. And I have been asking people for weeks now to send me questions, problems, topic points to talk about. So let's get to it. I want to start first with the problems that photographers have with models, because I think it's going to take significantly less time. So let me actually go live so that you guys can also add stuff in while I'm talking. Boom, boom. All right, I'm live. Let me get this first question up. All right, so the first problem that a lot of photographers sent this one in too. A big problem that photographers have with models is models reaching out to them immediately after shooting and asking for edits and then nagging them about it afterwards. Nagging to some people might be like every couple weeks, which I think is fair for a model to ask for updates, but some models really do message you like every day. Some even literally message you every couple of hours until you give them the edits that they want. And then if you send them a couple of edits, it's still not enough. Like, they want more and they expect a lot, and like just expectations are unrealistic, right? So it's kind of frustrating as a photographer. So I think the main thing to fix that is, and this is going to be a big thing for a lot of the problems, is are you using a contract? Do you have an expectation list filled out in that contract? Is it clear what you guys expect from each other? Is there a working agreement involved in that contract, or is it literally just, I have the right to use your photos and I'm paying you this amount, or I'm not paying you at all? It's a collaborative thing. So yeah, it's really important to have like a whole working agreement and what you expect from each other and limitations that both of you guys have. And we'll talk more about that as we get to different things. So yeah, have a working agreement. If you give models a timeline of like your edits will be done within 2 weeks or a month or whatever your limit is, then they shouldn't be like hitting you up every single day for those edits. And it's fair to tell them like, I'll let you know when there's an update. I'd prefer that you not contact me so that I can focus on my work and get to the messages that are important. You're allowed to say that to people, like just be upfront, but don't assume that they're being rude, because some people really just don't know or don't understand. Models not tagging photographers in posts. Oh my gosh. Models not tagging photographers in posts. This is really tough because I feel like genuinely sometimes people forget, and you have to just message them and remind them like, hey, you didn't give me credit. And they're like, oh snap, I forgot. And it's no big deal at all. Other times people purposefully don't tag you until weeks later, so that way like the initial engagement didn't see who the credit was for, which is really weird, but some people like consistently do that. Sorry, people are saying stuff. Cool, just support. Yeah, so yeah, again, this is just like more contract stuff, you guys. Like, in your contract, it should say that it's required that you're tagged and given credit in any photo used. If you're not, then it's up to you if you want to go ahead and like press small charges on them, or if you're just going to let it go. But that's one of those things as an artist and as a content creator that you have to get used to people stealing your work and not always giving you credit 100% of the time. I know it's frustrating, but it's just going to happen. And if you let it frustrate you, it's just going to slow you down with other things that you're working on. So don't feed into that energy. It's not worth it. Put it in your contract. That's really all you can do. Message people when they forget. That's the best you can do for that. Models using filters over edited photos, cropping photos poorly, using Instagram crop. I know they can't help it, but doing extra for no reason sometimes. That was in parentheses. Okay, so basically this photographer seems upset, which I've definitely been upset about this before too. If you work so hard on editing somebody's picture and you give it to them and they re-edit over your edit and they crop it so that you don't get like the full effect of the image, and they do like a really weird crop on it. It is very frustrating feeling. It is very frustrating. But again, that should be in your contract. That should be something you remind them when you give them the edits of like, these are my expectations when I give you these edits, that when you post them, you don't edit over them, you don't crop them, and you tag me. Like, that's in your contract. You can continuously remind them of the contract that they signed and agreed to. Canceling last minute and no shows. That's definitely, as a model and photographer, I will say that I've had more models just completely not show up and stand me up than photographer. I don't think a photographer has ever done that to me. But I've had a handful of models just not show up to the shoot at all. They didn't say anything. I've had people like say something the next day and they're like, hey, are you free? You want to reschedule? And it's like, what? You never even addressed the fact that you didn't show up to our shoot that was scheduled yesterday, which is crazy to me. But that's one of those things, if you are charging people, then you should be requiring a small deposit up front. And then if they don't show up, or if they cancel extremely last minute, like within 24 hours or 12 hours, if you're going to be really lenient, I think that's too lenient. But if you're going to be lenient, then that's, if they cancel within that time limit or they just don't show up at all, that's a fee that you get to keep. So that's like an inconvenience fee and a booking fee, because you could have booked somebody else in that time. So they're not being very respectful of your time if they're just not even bothering to show up. So even just charging people, if you're doing free shoots, I think it's fair to charge people like $20 and then tell them that you'll give it back to them after the shoot. But that's kind of like a holding fee, so that way if they don't show up, you get to keep that $20. And at least it's something, and you don't feel like you have absolutely nothing to show for it. You can go buy yourself lunch. All right. How do you discuss what models are comfortable with? Sexy, semi-nude, nude, etc. A lot of photographers are really weird about the way they word this with models, and it just makes us feel weird because you don't know how to say it in a professional way, I think. And I don't think you're meaning to be creepy, but then we don't know how to feel, and it's like, now our guard is up and like we're just not comfortable to shoot with you, and yeah, it makes it tough. But okay, so what is the ideal way to ask a model? I think if you want to shoot nude or semi-nude, you should go to a modeling account of somebody who's posting semi-nude or nude work, because then you know it's something that they're comfortable doing. They already post it. Message them. They're comfortable with it and they're experienced in it, so you're not going to have a hard time posing them or anything like that because they already have experience. I don't think it's appropriate to message a fashion model and be like, hey, do you want to do a nude shoot with me? I would feel weird about that. If you messaged me and you were like, what all types of shoots are you open to doing? I'm looking to expand my nude portfolio. I'm not sure if that's something that you would be interested in taking the opportunity of. That's more, it doesn't sound creepy like, hey, I see that you don't really model like this, but I'm trying to get you naked. Like, there's some photographers that are really, really weird and creepy about the way they say things. So as long as you're saying it in a professional way, like, this is a gig opportunity. This isn't anything more than that. Like, this is literally just a shooting gig opportunity. I like your work. I want you to be involved in it. But I think it's way more appropriate to find accounts of people who are already doing that type of modeling style rather than just message somebody that you like their work and then being like, hey, will you do a nude shoot with me? Because they're probably not going to want to do it, and it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. So I would just stay away from that, personally. When is it appropriate to give the model something to wear to shoot in? When you discuss it beforehand. If you're going to give the model something to shoot in, you should be sending them pictures. They should have concept shots of what type of shots you want to do, and they should have pictures of the clothing items you want them to wear beforehand. And don't give them some poorly lit picture where it's a see-through top, but you can't tell it's a see-through top, and then you get to the shoot, and then you tell her to put on the see-through top, and she's like, that's not what I thought I had agreed to. It's really uncomfortable when you get to a shoot and you sent the photographer the looks that you're bringing, and they're like, cool, great, perfect. And then they hand you like this really skimpy dress or shorts that like your booty cheeks are hanging out at the bottom, and you're like, no, this is not comfortable, this is not cute, I don't want to wear this. Like, no. Anything should be given to the model before you even meet up. Give her a picture of it, and then she should be agreeing to it, and you shouldn't make it an obligation. It should be like, would you be willing to wear this look? It's something that I've been wanting to shoot in. And just leave it at that. Not an obligatory, I have this look and I want you to shoot in it specifically, so you're gonna shoot in it when we meet up for our shoot. Don't assume anything with models. Like, always ask permission. This is our job, but at the same time, like, this is our body, this is our image, this is our reputation, this is our brand, this is our image. Like, this is so many things. We have to respect our body, we have to respect our limits. Every model has different boundaries and different limits for different things, so be respectful of that. Keep that in mind. Yeah, just try to be courteous, really. Models asking for more edits than they're supposed to get. I have had problems before where I had a contract with a model and I told you that I would give you 10 edits, and then I give them the 10 edits and they message me back and they want like 10 more edits. If that's the case, charge them, tell them how many edits it's gonna be or how much it's gonna be per edit additional, or for how like 10 together is gonna be X amount of money. That's totally fair, and if they don't wanna pay it, then they don't get the edits. Like, that's extra time for you, that's not what you had originally agreed to, and it ends there. If they get upset, they get upset. You can't get upset with other people getting upset. That's not fair to you, so don't do that. Models not knowing how to pose. Oh my gosh, models not knowing how to pose. This one stresses me out a lot. Gosh dang. A lot of models will have an Instagram that is popping, and then you'll meet up with them in person and they're like, okay, what do you want me to do? And then you'll be like, just start a pose, I'll tell you if I like it or not. And they'll just like, is this good? And it's so awkward and painful and uncomfortable. And it's a lot of photographers, we just like to, what I've noticed, a lot of photographers I've met, is we really just like to take pictures of people as they're just moving around. It's like just going from one pose to another. You don't have to hold any crazy pose. You don't have to know 1,000,001 poses. It's just flowing from one thing to another and just doing natural body movements and then catching that in the moment. And a lot of models aren't able to do that. And that's so, there's a lot of exercises that models can do to help that. You can do posing exercises. You can Pinterest posing. You can Google image a bunch of posing. You can buy posing books. You can watch YouTube videos of like 100 poses done by models within 1 minute and then try to mimic and copy those. You can stand in front of the mirror for an hour and see how many different poses you can get to. There are so many things you can do if you just put effort into it. That's definitely a problem you could fix. Ty says no 1,000,002 poses. Sorry. Oh man. I keep pausing it. I'm sorry. I keep pausing the Instagram live because I'm reading the notes that I took from everybody for the video. So, just so you guys can see, like, this is Bryce. So, yeah. It does take a lot of practice to be able to pose. I'm not saying by any means that it's easy. I was really awkward at first, and there were definitely still times where, like, I'm just not in that mental state. So I'm like, I'm so bad at posing on certain days because I'm not there, I'm not in the flow of it, I'm not feeling it. And that's totally fair, you're not gonna be feeling it every time, but the more you practice it, the easier it is to get into it. So if it's really something you wanna do, then you should be practicing posing at least on a weekly basis, at least, if not every single day for at least a little bit in the mirror. Let's see. Okay, this is the last one for photographer problems with models. Models showing up late and not being ready. I have personally experienced a lot of that, where models show up 30 minutes late and then they're doing their makeup and they need another 30 minutes to finish doing their makeup and getting dressed so they haven't accessorized. If we say we're shooting at 6 p.m., you need to be there at 5:45, ready, parked, prepared, all your looks together, makeup done, hair done, like everything that we agreed to beforehand. There's no reason for you to show up 30 minutes late and then still not be ready. That's completely on the model. And I think it's fair as a photographer to either charge for extra time for that, or if it's a TFP shoot, just leave. Like if it's not worth it to you, just go. If those shots weren't worth waiting an extra hour of just sitting there at dead time, leave. Like that's perfectly fair to me. I don't think anybody should be sitting around for hours on end for portfolio pictures just doing like dead time with nothing. And a lot of people do that, photographer and model side. They take advantage of each other's time, and it's not fair. So don't accept it. If you don't accept it, people will eventually stop doing it. So we have to call people out for that.